So Office application, it is working fine. Like we can add the test object and everything. Okay, we have tried as well. But print preview is not working in my case. So is there something missing? Because last time you have showed some PDF form in the print preview. For my
So
case, it is not.
it is nothing but your master data sheet of your contract. Yeah. So I am able to do it. It might be your access issue.
Yeah, then
Let me-
that may be the access. The second is like this document
see,
management.
if you can see my screen.
Yes, yes, I can see.
Yeah. So this is your contract number, right? And this is the BP which you have created.
Okay,
Days out Praveen, correct?
correct.
Yeah. So there might be an access issue. Can you share your screen again and we'll do it?
No problem. If it is access issue. The second thing I want to just confirm this regarding that document management. We click on that now.
Mhm.
You have said that we can add the external contract or a physical copy by a scanner, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Not able to find anything to add
So
the
see,
attachment.
if you remember, there was a component CA-DMS. So that component needs to be activated. Then only it will allow you to save or upload it over here. And can you go back to your contract and click on that master data sheet again? Let's see. Yeah, nothing is happening.
Okay.
Can you click on the right icon? That office, print office. Oh, okay. Yeah, so there might be an access issue only. Ideally, you should be able to do so. Not sure why exactly you're not able to do it. I just showed you.
Okay.
Okay. Anything apart from that? Okay. And have you completed periodic posting for your contract?
Means we have given entries in the parameters, but
We had created a contract for you, right?
yeah,
Yesterday.
yes, lease, yeah.
Okay. So you were able to post those periodic entries.
So what I wanted to say is that in this rental space, when I try to add a different measurement type, it is only showing this total area. I'm not able to get other areas, floor areas, and those all.
So you need to configure that.
Yeah, in SPRO,
No, yes,
I'm in Rekakast.
Reka Cost. If you go in Reka Cost, if you go, I'll show it to you over there. So, can you see when you get into master data, there is very first tab available, basic settings.
Yeah, here basic settings. Yes, yes, yes.
Click on that. Yeah, measurement
Yeah,
type. and
measurement types. Yeah.
Yeah, so these all things are there.
Yeah. So what changes should I make, Pranav, here?
You're in maintain measurement type.
Yeah, yes, I'm in maintain measurement types.
Okay. So whichever measurement types you want, you can go and allow it. Let's say for RO, can you see
Okay.
that? In that you need to like allow it.
Okay. For example, here it is RO. So I wanted to allow here. Property is allowed for object. It is showing.
Click on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Property is allowed for object. This option
Default.
was selected.
Okay. So you want floor area as well.
Yeah. I want floor area, usable area to be populated.
Can you
The
check
measurement.
usable area is maintained or not?
Yeah. In the RO, yes, property is allowed for object. Yeah. The same is
Also, can
maintained.
you check on that total checkbox? So
Yeah.
there is.
Here. Yeah. It is there.
Okay. Can you double click on any of the measurement type?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, scroll down. Total measurement. Can you scroll up? Total measurement is tick or not?
Yeah. Total measurement.
Area measurement also. Can you scroll a little bit up? Okay. So define measurement type is fine. Now we'll go to define total measurements. So everything is allowed. Why you are not getting it then? Let me try to create. Where exactly you didn't get this adding of another measurement type? Was it at rental object level?
Yeah, a rental. I'm doing for rental space.
Yeah, rental space. Okay. What is your business entity? It's two, right?
Yeah, it is two, and rental space is three.
Pool space is two.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can you see it? This is your rental object, right?
Yeah, this
101
is pool space. Yeah.
and so you need to add it in your pool space, then only it will appear. Have you tried checking in your pool space?
Uh, Means we need to add only total area alone, or we need to add floor area and usable space as separately.
If that's upon you, what is the requirement? Based on that you will be adding, right?
Yes,
You
yes,
wanted
yes.
floor area, so if you want
Okay.
to add the floor area, but then first you need to add it at pool space, right? Because ideally you will be pulling out of pool space.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now I'm maintaining floor area at your pool space level. Okay. Now what you can do is you can go and share your screen and try adding it in your rental space.
Yeah. Okay.
Coming.
Now, yeah, yeah. Now it is coming.
So you got the logic. Like
Yeah.
first you
Yes,
need
yes.
to
Now
add it
will.
in your pool space, but a rental unit is independent one. So if you go and try adding in your rental unit, then it is fine. You can directly add
Yeah,
it.
we can do it. Yeah. Yes, yes. Rental unit is single entity, so no issues. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. So today what we are going to cover is IFRS 16. So in IFRS 16, how exactly the posting happens? What does the IFRS implication has? So the agenda will be covering IFRS 16, then lease accounting for IFRS 16, scope, effective dates and transition, type of integration, integrated lease, measurement of ROU and lease liability, scenario, and posting schemes. Okay. So before we begin, can someone tell me what is IFRS 16 or what exactly IFRS 16 impacts? Is someone aware how exactly IFRS 16 impacts and from when?
IFRS 16, I think it is mainly used for the lease accounting.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and you can say it's provide a guidance on lease accounting.
So which type of lease accounting?
ROU.
No, that is ROU that has come after IFRS 16 has came into implication, right? So when do you know when exactly IFRS implication started? IFRS
I
16?
think 2016.
No. So the
Okay,
IFRS 16 is like implication is from 1st of Jan 2019. Okay.
19. Okay.
Yeah, 19. And
Okay.
the major difference or the leases you have mentioned it partially right that it is for leases, but not for only leases. It is for operating as well as financial leases. So
Okay.
prior to
Okay.
that, if you remember, we had financial leases which were part of our financial statement, that is balance sheet, and
Balance sheet.
operating leases were part of our notes. So operating leases were not capitalized prior to IFRS 16; those were just being part of notes. So in that scenario, what happens is IFRS 16 says that now onwards, that when I say now onwards, it means 1st of Jan 2019 onwards, whatever your leases are there, be it your finance lease or be it your operational lease, it has to be capitalized. That means going further, there won't be any operating lease. Everything has to be financial leases. Okay. So, do you know, Devang, how exactly we identify the finance lease or the RU lease? What is the criteria? Devang or anyone else?
Criteria.
So let's say I have multiple contracts. How will I identify whether this is my ROU contract or not?
Can we say like long term or short term? Like it supposes well, life of assets.
So how long?
Like more than uh, that. It's actually exactly I don't know, but I think for long term, if we can say 20 years, 25 years. Generally, on lease we had a land or something like offices.
Okay. So again, like you're partially right, but it's not in 10 years or 20 years. It is like as per IFRS 16, if your contract value, there are two conditions. One is contract value and one is your tenure. Okay. If your contract value is greater than 5,000 USD or your contract tenure is greater than 1 year, then those contract will be considered as RU contract. Now, what does ROU means? Is someone aware of it? What is ROU?
The right of use asset.
Okay. When we say right of use asset, what does that mean?
You can say we can every year or every month we will reduce the amount whatever we capitalize for that asset now that we reduce every month. So partially expense as per the whatever the terms and conditions, some of the part we book as a interest expense or some of the as a
So
liabilities.
that is again like that is the process how you will be treating in your asset.
Okay.
But what
Mhm.
is one is asset and one is ROU asset. One is your fixed asset, one is your ROU asset. So what is the difference between fixed asset and ROU asset? So the name itself says right of use. That means the asset does not belong to you, but you have the right because as you are
Right.
in lease, you have a lease for that asset. You have the right to use that asset. Okay. That is why it is called as right of use asset.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
And apart from that, can you tell me if a non-ROU contract has to be segregated? Let's say I have given you ROU contract scenario, and now if I have to identify which are the non-ROU contract, then how will I do that? So for ROU contract, I have mentioned that your contract value should be either greater than 5,000 USD or tenure should be greater than 1 year. Simultaneously, how exactly you will identify non-ROU contract? So it should be vice versa, right? Like if your contract value is lesser than 5,000 USD or tenure is lesser than 1 year, then it should be non-ROU contract, correct?
Okay.
So that is how you'll identify your ROU, non-ROU contracts. Okay. Now tell me something apart from this. What is the major difference between ROU contract and non-ROU contract?
No idea.
So as of now, until now, whatever contract we have seen, was that an ROU contract or non-ROU contract?
Non-ROU, because we are giving less than 1 year and the total cost is less than 5,000 USD. Yeah.
Okay. But I think for few of the scenario, I have also selected 2 years, right? Yeah, but in that case, it was 5,000 lesser than 5,000 USD.
Lesser than 5,000.
Yeah. So now again, the reason why I'm asking is the major difference between while creating ROU non-ROU contract will be your ROU contract will have assets. Okay, you'll be having asset capitalization posting. You will be having lease liability posting. But wherein for non-ROU contract which you have created until now, have you seen any of the asset in those contracts? Have we created any asset for those contracts?
No.
No.
Have we done any kind of asset acquisition or depreciation, asset acquisition, lease liability, any kind of? So this is the major difference wherein if we are using asset in your contract, so that contract will be your ROU contract. You need to like jot down your valuation of your contract. Okay. So this is how you can also see in your screen also whether it is ROU or non-ROU contract. Based on that, you can identify which contract is from which scenario. Okay. Moving further, IFRS 16. Okay. I'll take you through this now. That was a basic understanding. Before going through this theoretical understanding, I wanted you to understand the basic fundamentals or basic principles how exactly IFRS 16 works apart from SAP and within SAP. So if you go to any kind of interview or if your client asks you what is the major difference between ROU and non-ROU contract is, then you can say how to identify ROU and non-ROU contract. You can say that okay, your ROU contract will have your contract value greater than 5,000 USD or your contract value tenure will be greater than 1 year. Then it will be your ROU contract, and vice versa, it will be your non-ROU contract. Okay. And if someone asks where from when your IFRS 16 implication started, it will be 1st of Jan 2019. So the lease event of a generation driving significant changes. Okay. IFRS 16 1st of Jan 2019, US GAAP 15 December 2018. So until December 2018, or for in years it will be March 2019. It was a normal scenario. Also, one more thing to understand. Okay, IFRS 16 in a similar way, Ind AS has 116. Okay, in Ind AS, Indian Accounting Standard, it will be your 116. Okay. New standard on leasing released by FASB and IASB. Every IFRS US GAAP reporting company renting real estate or leasing equipment will be impacted. Large company with big property portfolio are affected most and need to react quickly to prepare. Need to capitalize many corporate operating leases and record these lease obligation on the balance sheet as asset and liability. If you remember, I mentioned that your operating lease will be perished. Now, no further operating lease will be there in IFRS 16. It all will be your financial leases. So over here, if you see operating lease has been perished, and it will be only your financial leases. Besides affected accounting, new standard will transform corporate business process in many areas. So yes, it does not just affecting business posting, but it will also transform. How exactly it will transform? If someone can tell me how exactly it will transform? Any idea, any suggestions, or any guesses? And it is really important session because IFRS 16 is one of the pivotal area within REFX. So if you'll be interacting, that will be helpful for you as well. And if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer. Okay. So tell me again, I'll be asking the same question. How exactly the business process will be impacted or will be changed? Any answer is fine. It's not necessary you have
So
to be
before
right.
before this RO, so what companies was used to do? Like suppose they have a rented office, so that time they generally they book the expense. They cannot be rebate that depreciation, all these things. Okay. So from IFRS 16 now they used to book the expense as well as they take the benefit of the depreciation part in the profit as well. That something maybe
Correct, extremely correct. But now it won't be an expense. It will be just your lease liability and
risk
capital. Yeah,
capital.
and
Yes,
the business transformation it will happen because like you mentioned initially it was expense, now it will be capitalization and asset and capitalization and lease liability. So when acquisition is done, then depreciation is also posted, right? If depreciation is also posted,
correct.
then it will also be taken into consideration while tax filing, right? So business also get the benefit of depreciation which they are posting. That is how the business transformation is happening. That means if they are able to reduce their tax liability when the finance these operating leases have been converted into finance leases. Okay, that is how it is business transformation. Like it helps business to save some more cost. Lease accounting, what is changing in lease accounting? The FASB and ISB have completely completed and released a new accounting standard for the leases that will impact all companies. The new rule require lessees, all asset classes to capitalize nearly all leases and recognize them on their balance sheet as a lease liability with the corresponding right to use asset. Correct, I mentioned that now asset will be created, capitalization and lease liability will be posted, ROU asset capitalization and simultaneously lease liability. Recognize the value of lease liability as the present value of all unavoidable future payments. Decompose lease cost and recognize them separately as interest expense and amortization expense on the statement of income. Okay. So decompose lease cost and recognize them. Lease cost, as I mentioned, like now there won't be any kind of cost or expense involved. It will be extremely your asset capitalization entry and your liability entry. Lessee accounting, recognition and measurement. Initial recognition measures right of use asset and lease liability at the present value of your lease payment. Depreciate ROU asset based on IAS 16 or alternative measurement under in IAS 16 and IAS 40. This is for right of use asset. For liability, accrete liability based on the interest method using a discount rate determined at lease commencement. Reduce the liability by payment made. Okay, can you tell me something? It says over here that present value. Is anyone aware what exactly does present value mean? So ideally present value is nothing, but in contract what we are going to do is, let's say there is an inflation of 4% or 5% going on, and the contract value each year or each month I am supposed to pay 1 lakh rupees. Okay, and 1 lakh rupees 1 month I have to pay, that is 12 lakh rupees a year. Now I have a contract of 12 years, 10 years. What will be the contract value? 1 crore 20 lakhs. That should be my contract value, right? Hello?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now what I'll do is, now 1 crore 20 lakh, I'll discount my contract because ideally I am supposed to pay this 1 crore 20 lakh in duration of 10 years, right? Let's say whatever the value of 100 rupees is today, will the value of 100 rupees be same in after 10 years?
No.
The
No.
inflation will impact that 100 rupees, right? Let's say I am getting 10 chocolates of 10 Cadbury's of 100 rupees. I won't be getting the same 10 chocolates in future, right? Either the like the size of the chocolate will be reduced, or it will be the price of the chocolate will be reduced, increased, right? This kind of inflation impact will be there. So what we do is, in contract, whenever we create a ROU contract, we discount that contract. So XYZ interest rate has been taken into consideration. Let's say 5%, 4%, 3%, whatever interest rate is there, and we discount that contract. Now let's say the contract value which was 1 crore 20 lakhs, and when I have discounted that contract, it comes to 95 lakhs, because the 25 lakh rupees of amount has gone into interest. So now when I'll create the contract and I'll post the acquisition entry will not be of 1 crore 20 lakh. The acquisition entry or the posting at as on asset, it will be 95 lakh. Okay, because ideally we have discounted our asset, and simultaneously the lease liability will get posted with 95 lakhs. But ideally, at the end, we have to pay 1 lakh 20, 1 crore 25 lakh, 20 lakhs, right? So what will happen is, again on a periodic basis, we'll be charging that interest amount. So your interest amount will get debited and your lease amount will get credited. So whatever 25 lakh rupees we have considered under interest component, it across the period it will get added to your lease liability. So 95 lakh rupees of your lease liability will get added with your interest component, and it will become 1 lakh 20,000, 1 crore 20 lakh. Because ideally to the landlord we are supposed to pay 1 lakh 20,000, 1 crore 20 lakh only, right? So it should no, the amount should be appearing at this GL level. Then only we'll be able to take out the amount from lease liability. Okay. So partner cash flow, we remain. If you remember, we use rewrap. In that we do invoice posting. Okay. When we say partner cash flow, it is nothing but rewrap. Now, when we talk about IFRS 16, there are few additional posting coming in with T code receipt. if you can make a note of this, RECEEP. This is the T code through which we will be posting. And one more thing, very important thing, in REFX now we have a functionality using which we can also create asset through contract itself. Okay, you need not have to create asset from asset accounting module. So contract itself will create your asset, and the accounting like the acquisition posting will happen through your receipt over here. So ROU asset posting, lease liability posting, interest and expense posting, these all things will happen through your receipt. Again, depreciation expense posting will happen only through your FAT code that comes from your asset accounting transaction. Scope, effective dates and transition. Since public company include at least 3 years of information in their financial statement, firms with many leases will need to transition their accounting in 2016 to accurately report their comparative financial data. SEC reporting requirement, balance sheet 2 fiscal year ends, income statement 3 years, that is March 31st 2020, March 31st 2019 and 2018. Okay. Adoption decision, early adoption April 1st 2016, aligned with regulation April 1st 2017. Timeline March 31st 2019 and March 31st 2020. So these are the timelines until which they could. This is not hard and fast. They could do it, but it is not necessarily required that they use SAP. So there are few companies which started using IFRS 16, but out of SAP. So what they used to do is they used to report as per IFRS 16, but they used to calculate those amounts manually. Now also manually as in Excel sheet. Now also there are several company who have their IFRS 16 in place, but they are not using a SAP REFX model, because there might be a minimum contract, or they might think that okay, the scope or the number of contract which we have does not suffice to invest that much of cost in implementing a REFX module, and the return on investment of REFX is not that much. So rather than implementing REFX model, they would calculate this amount out of SAP and post manual entries for them, so that they have an impact in their financial statement as well, and simultaneously they are also not able to they are also able to save the cost. That is also one of the thing. Okay, moving forward, ASU's in 2016 period 2 applies to all leases including subleases with the following exceptions: leases of intangible asset, leases to explore or use mineral oil, natural gas, or similar non-regenerative resources, leases of biological asset including timber, leases of inventory, and leases of asset under construction. Okay. Type of integration. So there are two integration scenario available for posting the ROU asset and corresponding depreciation. So within SAP, now this is specifically talking about SAP. Okay. So what does it mean to integration? Integration with asset accounting model, integration with balance sheet posting. So at asset accounting model works with new and classic asset accounting, works for parallel ledger approach and account approach both. Object type versus asset class link is established. Flow type versus asset transaction type link is established. Accounting principle IFRS 16 ASC 848 versus depreciation area link is established. New depreciation key created and assigned to asset classes linked to leasing. Okay. Comparatively, direct balance sheet posting. Posting of ROU depreciation are directly done onto GL account. Posting for multiple accounting principle managed by using separate set of GLs. So what does it mean? Can someone explain me? Does someone get how what exactly this particular statement is? Integration with asset accounting and integration with balance sheet. Integration with asset accounting, that means we have two options available. One is we can create an asset and go across the asset accounting process, that is posting of ROU and lease liability through asset. Asset will have linked GL in account determination, and then it will get posted to the GL, and depreciation will be done through AFEB. And second thing is we need not have to create any of the asset. We just have to link the GL to the contract type and valuation rule. And rather than using or creating asset, the system will directly post the entry to the GLs. So that is also one of the facility we have. Wherein in few of the countries it is there that they do not create asset, they would like to have direct posting to on their particular GL account. So this is how we can cater to those requirements. Okay. Integrated leasing scenario for real estate property management. SAP real estate management, contract management, lease type for property, leasing apartment, subject of agreement, fixed asset, equipment, property, etc. Terms and condition for notice and renewal options, lease payment plan, critical dates and reminder. Classification and valuation. Classification and evaluation rules: calculate and report on net present value, depreciation, repayment and interest rate, change management, revaluation, workflows between lease administration and accountant, create link to asset. So the right of use asset will be linked to asset accounting. Okay. Contract management will be linked to your vendor. Classification of valuation will be linked to your local gap. Financial posting, multi-gap enable IFRS US gap HGB, manage right of use asset and liabilities, customer vendor accounting, post depreciation and repayment, lease payment, controlling profit center accounting. So these all things are also managed. IFRS leases, contract design, contract subject is there, contract terms is there, conditions are there. If you remember, we have defined contract subject is nothing but your general data. Terms is start, end date, frequency. Condition is like what will be the amount. Then once we have all of this, then it will be valuation rule tab, wherein we define what will be the valuation rule, what will be the interest rate, which asset is linked to it. Based on that, asset creation and asset assignment will happen. So this is how the like IFRS 16 valuation rule will flow. Measurement of ROU and lease liability. Measurement of ROU and lease liability. Fixed payment made by lessee to lessor for the right to use an underlying asset during the lease term, excluding variable lease payments. Initial measurement of right to use asset. At the commencement date, a lessee shall measure the right of use asset at cost. The cost of the right of use asset shall comprise the amount of initial measurement of the lease liability, any lease payment made at or before commencement date, less any lease incentive received. Any initial direct cost incurred by the lessee. At commencement date, the lease payment includes in measurement of the lease liability comprise the following payment for the right to use the underlying asset during the lease term that are not paid at the commencement. Fixed payment, including insubstantial fixed payment as described in paragraph B43. So when you go through the IFRS 16 standard, you will be able to see all of this paragraph and like what exactly it is pertaining to. So if you're not getting what exactly these are stating over here, these standards or this particular paragraph, so you can go to IFRS 16 document and you will be able to understand it. Okay. Scenario based case. Okay. Contract duration 60 months. Payment form monthly in advance. Lease rate 10,000 per month. Obviously, it will be a per month, right? Now, if it is 10,000 per month and 60 months are there, then it should be 6 lakh, right? 60 lakh, right? It will be 6 lakh per contract. Across the tenure, it will be 6 lakh, right?
Yeah, yes, 6.
And as I mentioned, interest rate, it will be 3%. So now 6 lakh has been discounted with interest rate of 3%. Okay. So the discounted value of ROU has come across 5,57,914.86, and the same value will be posted to your lease liability. Okay. So these are your accounting entry. If you're not able to identify or understand this accounting entry, what I'll do is I'll quickly. So these are the entry which will be posted. Okay. While using REFX for IFRS 16. So your very first entry will be debit your ROU asset. Okay. Let's say ROU asset. I'll take the same example of this 557,914. 557,914.86. Okay. Credit will be, yeah.
Like how this 557 is calculated? Because 3% of 6 lakh is like 18,000.
So tell me something. When you take a loan from any of the bank, let's say home loan, it is 9%, right? As of now,
Right.
let's say 0.5% or 9%. This is the market rate. Now let's say you have a property or you have bought a home of 1 crore. So ideally it should be 9 lakh rupees, right? And the interest amount should be 9 lakh. But is it? Is it going to be 9 lakh per month, per year? Let's say your home loan is for 10 years. So 9 lakhs into 90, 10. Will it be 90 lakhs or more than that?
Less than that.
Less than that?
Because first year it will calculate fully of the 1 crore. After the 1 year, it will be like my capital will be reduced. So my
Okay.
principal will be.
I'll show it to you. EMI calculator. Okay. So now your home loan amount is of 1 CR. Interest rate is of 9% and tenure is of 10 years. Okay. What is the interest payable as of now? Total interest payable will be less, like 52 lakh, right? Yeah, you were right that it is lesser than that. And how exactly this is calculated? How exactly it is calculated?
Because
At
on
the
first
initial,
like EMI, it will calculate based on the 1 crore. After the first
yes.
EMI, my principal amount will be deducted. Something like that.
So initially, your interest component at the start will be more, right? Interest component at the beginning of your this will be more. So now when we can do the same in this, it discounts your contract as per across the period. It's not like on the value. Now your contract value is of 6 lakh. It will not discount is just for like 1 year or 2 year. It will calculate across the year. Okay. And it should not be just like calculating, let's say 6 lakh is say 18,000 into 10, it will be 1,80,000. It won't be that. So there's some calculation on discounting. Basic calculations are there on how to discount a contract. So that particular calculation is like maintained in REFX. It is a standard calculation which is there, and through that it determine what should be your net present value. So again, if formula, I'll show the formula. NPV equals to RT upon 1 plus IT. So what is RT? Net cash flow at the time. I is your discount rate. A time of the cash flow. T is time of the cash flow. Okay. Based on this, your net present value will be calculated.
No, sir, in your example, I think in that slide, discount rate not mentioned, I think.
Sorry.
Discount rate.
So discount
In
rate
that
is nothing
example.
but in this example, right? Over
No,
here also it is
that
discount rate.
PPT.
Yeah, so this is interest rate, right? Interest rate and discount rate is nothing. It's same only. Interest rate is by what percent your contract will be discounted, right? When we say discounted, that is nothing but
Got it.
net present value. Discounting is nothing but your net present value. So what exactly we are doing over here is also net present value. And discount rate is also nothing but the rate, interest rate on which we will be discounting the whole contract. Okay. So the very first entry will be your ROU asset account debit to your lease, your clearing asset account credit. Can someone tell me why exactly we are using clearing account over here?
Because, actually, we have not, currently we have not booked against the invoice and all. Okay. So first we routed the entry through clearing account. So after, that at the time of lease liability posting, we knocked this asset clearing account. And
Lease
also we have
liability
not.
But shouldn't be your lease liability posting also be posted simultaneously? What is your ideal entry within balance sheet? Asset equals to? Asset equal to liability, right? That is in the basic fund of balance sheet. Your asset should be equals to liabilities.
And actually we have not posted the depreciation as well.
So that is fine. This is our initial entry.
Okay.
This is our initial capitalization entry. If you see what I have mentioned over here is capitalization entry. RU capitalization. Okay.
Okay.
Now after this, you will be having what is the entry which you have posted over here is, so this one, this entry and this entry gets knocked off. So what is the ideal entry remained?
ROU to lease.
Correct. So ideally it is the same entry which we post in finance. ROU asset account debit to your liability account credit. Just the purpose is, as per the SAP, clearing account is mandatory and we have to use the clearing account for the multiple ledger reporting purpose. Okay. When an asset is posted on multiple ledger, then it will use the clearing account. Correct? Are you aware what is the purpose of technical clearing account in SAP?
Yeah. Generally, in if you dispose the asset, now that time also that clearing account was hit.
Correct.
In like asset sell with customer
account.
like that.
Correct. Even if in asset accounting, if you talk about that, even in asset accounting also it will use clearing account. Okay.
Okay.
Now it will be your interest expense account. Interest expense posting. So your debit at the time of interest expense will be interest expense. Let's say 2000. or 900, something like this, 1100. I'll take this is for example only, yeah, and it's not an
Mhm.
value example. And credit will be, what should be the
Lease
credit?
liability. Lease liability.
Why?
Because again, that we have transferred the from liability to we have transferred the expense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
that's why in short, like we reduce our liability in balance sheet, okay, and we transfer to the P&L.
correct. Extremely right. So whatever initially this amount was supposed to be 6 lakh, right? If you remember, this amount was supposed to be 6 lakh. Now based on the discounting rate, this amount has come up 557. But ideally across the period, when I am paying to my vendor, I am supposed to pay 6 lakhs only, right? This 557 discounting or the net present value which has happened, this is for my reporting purpose. Vendor is not concerned about this. Vendor wants the whole amount only, right?
Correct.
Vendor will want to have the whole 6 lakh rupees of amount. So how exactly we are going to increase this amount again? So monthly, when we will be charging interest, whatever 3% interest we have calculated, let's say for the first month it is 1100. So we'll be debiting our 1100 and crediting our lease liability account. So that particular lease liability account will get increased and it will reach to 6 lakh. Ideally it will not increase because month on month basis we are also removing 10,000 rupees, right? Because we are supposed to pay. So this will be your entry.
So it's also again the clearing GL, because
So
again
now,
in now now we ahead we will pay to vendor. So that time for that we need to pass some of the part in lease clearing. So that time that the lease clearing account will knock off.
okay, but
Then we
then why exactly I should be parking it to vendor directly, right? And why I am parking it to clearing account?
uh, if you parking into vendor now, that I think at the time of that clearing repayment, that it is not possible now, because that T code or something like it's different from that clearing repayment and vendor posting.
Okay, you're almost there. But if you had to talk about this on business process, then what should have must have mentioned is, so see, at the what exactly over here it is written is monthly in advance, right? Payment form is monthly
Oh,
in advance,
okay. Yes,
now
yes,
let's
yes,
say
yes.
at the start of month I have posted the interest, okay, whatever amount is there I have posted it and I have parked it to lease clearing account. But is it necessary that I'll be receiving invoices from vendor on the very first day of the month?
Correct.
Now let's say I have done this posting, all of this posting, okay, all of this posting I have done on 1st of Jan 2024, okay, all these entry, because all these entry will be posted through receipt, and when we run the receipt all of these three entries will get posted. So this posting I have done on 1st of Jan because ideally my payment is in advance, so I have done it in advance, okay. Now is it necessary that I'll be receiving vendor invoice on 1st of Jan itself? There might
No,
be a
correct.
scenario when
Hmm.
where I can receive on 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that as well, right? So
Correct.
until and unless we receive an invoice from vendor, do we post invoices? No, right?
Hmm.
So let's say what will be the vendor invoice posting, if someone can explain me.
Means
If we are posting an vendor invoice through REFX, what
mhm.
should be the entry?
if it is only vendor, then I think expense will be there. If it is not a part of this lease, then I think again lease clearing account will be debited to vendor.
Lease clearing account will be debited to vendor.
Hmm.
You mean to say we'll be debiting lease clearing account to vendor. This one you are saying lease liability clearing account, right?
Correct.
So you mean to say this is how it should be, and credit should be your vendor. Is that what you
Vendor.
are?
Yeah,
Yes,
correct. Because we have
extremely.
already created, actually we have created ROU asset. So generally in fixed asset to vendor hota hai, matlab like that. But here already ROU entry is proceed. So now we have one, open clearing account. So we will knock up again this vendor.
Extremely right. So this is how your accounting entry will get posted once you receive the invoice. Now let's say you might have received this invoice on 5th of Jan 2024. Okay. So there is a difference of 4 days, right?
Okay.
There's a difference of 4 days. I have posted because I'm obliged to post my monthly periodic entries on the very first of every month. So I have posted these entries. Correct?
Correct.
I have posted these entries, but when I actually receive vendor invoice on 5th of Jan, then I'll remove it from clearing account and post it to vendor account. And this clearing account will also simultaneously have a GL account or expense account, expense account mapped to it. Okay. So what is happening over here? One more reason why exactly we are not posting. Ideally, if I know that I'm supposed to receive invoice within this month, then why I'm not posting this invoice on 1st of Jan itself?
Then it should be booked in provision. If you want to, you cannot route it through this. And
No,
and
that's not
also
the major purpose. So the only reason why we are not booking it directly to vendor account, or we're not creating vendor invoices. While creating vendor invoices, what do we have on a vendor invoice? Do we have a term called payment method, payment terms?
GST.
What does payment terms do?
Calculate the due dates.
Exactly. It calculates your due dates. So let's say if I would have posted my vendor invoice on 1st of Jan itself, and my due date, like payment term says that due within 30 days, then it would have got due on 1st of Feb itself, right? Or 31st of Jan, correct?
Correct.
And now when I have posted on 5th of Jan, because I have received the invoice on 5th of Jan, when I have posted it on 5th of Jan, now my due date will be for either 4th or 4th or 5th of February, right? So that particular 5 or 6 days of amount which I'm not paying my due until and unless my due date is not calculated, I am saving that amount within my account, right? My operating cost is saved, correct? Am I clear over here or any doubt?
Clear from my side.
Okay. So can any one of you please take a screenshot of this and post it in chat box for your reference? There will be one more entry. Sorry, just a second. There will be one more
Depreciation.
entry. Yes. Now depreciation has to be calculated 557. divided by 60 because it's a straight line method. 9298.6. Okay, 9298.6. Again, can someone tell me what should be the depreciation entries over here?
Depreciation to ROU.
Are you sure?
Yes. Or here you can also we can accumulated depreciation should be there, but in this case, one lease liability account is credited now, so that balance is still in there. So
So
two lab.
how does the depreciation matters? Then ideally, if lease liability is there, then ideally we should have like we should be posting to accumulated depreciation only, right? So any which ways, any kind of depreciation it should be, it will be your depreciation account to your accumulated depreciation. Okay. So accumulated depreciation we never skip in SAP. Reason being, let's say now this particular contract tenure is of 60 months. That is nothing but 5 years, right? Correct? 5 years is there.
Okay. Then
After
if you check in this, then one liability is there still. One that one
this
open
liability,
like liability account is still open, na?
this one,
So
right?
if suppose this one, yes.
So how does it is impacting asset any which ways? Because ideally, what we have done is we have posted a capitalization to asset, and we have posted liabilities account. Now we are again on a monthly basis we are posting lease liability, and on monthly basis we are also taking out the same amount which we are supposed to take, that is 10,000. Correct? Now when we were taking out the lease liability account, then you should have said no, that asset is also there, you should have also taken out the asset amount. So ideally over here this is getting taken out, and this is getting taken out from asset. This is from liability and this is from asset, right? So both the liability and asset will get nullified through this posting. Ideally when
Okay,
we are
okay, I got your point.
ideally when we are okay, let me okay, got it. Now that is how, so let's say 10,000 minus this one 702 71, so 701.4. Okay, why haven't taken 701.4 over here?
Because that installment partially divide into interest and that what we call liability.
Correct.
Liability.
So what is the interest plus depreciation amount? What amount it is coming?
92.
No, over here if you see, what is the total amount? 10,000.
10,000. Yes, sorry. Yes, 10,000.
And that was the same amount which we are paying. So when depreciation amount is also getting, ideally the depreciation should have also been 10,000, but it when we discounted the asset, it got 9298.60, and the same interest amount is also getting calculated, and it is getting adding up to your lease liability account, right?
Okay, so you mean to say at the last lease liability account will be zero, right? This
Yeah,
when as
because
and when. Correct.
ideally
Okay,
we
okay.
are, see now, this is debit and this is
Yes, yes,
credit.
yes, yes.
So every
Correct, correct.
month when we will be paying out, taking out this 10,000 amount, it will reduce the amount from 557 9.914 plus whatever amount it is adding over here. So it will reduce that amount, right?
Yes, correct, correct. I got your point.
Correct. Now what we are
Yes.
supposed to do is we have to reduce the amount from asset. So ideally it is depreciation to your accumulated depreciation.
Correct.
Correct.
In general,
And
whatever the
end of tenure, what should be end of tenure entry?
so like when you dispose the entry, then accumulated depreciation to depreciation or some other.
Are you sure?
मतलब, all the
Accumulated
accounts
to
clear,
ROU.
accumulated to ROU or accumulated to
No.
मतलब asset na asset. I told you na asset. So here the word is ROU.
And what should be the amount over here?
Whatever in the depreciation fund, or at the time of like if it is fully depreciated, then the same amount.
Let's say full end of tenure. When I'm saying end of tenure, it is at the end of fully tenure. So what should be the amount over here? Now it was 6 months, 5 years, right?
5 years, 60 lakhs or 30 lakhs.
55791.
5.
Exactly. So we are taking out the same amount, right? If the asset amount is 557,914.86, how
Mhm.
exactly you are going to depreciate or post in 6 lakh on asset? So ideally, your asset amount was 557,914, no, and that is what we divided by 60, right? Because we wanted to take out this per month value. 557,914.86. Okay, equals to this divided by 60. What is the amount? 9298.58, right? And we rounded off to 6.6. Because if you see over here, the months or the interval is 60 months. Got it? So tell me something. Now what should happen? If I have marked this entry, let's say with this item, again, where exactly shall I mark this entry with this same color? The entries which I have shown you, asset account debit to your monthly, what is this monthly expense from depreciation, right? ROU asset. Then on liabilities, first it will be credit, that is nothing but this entry. Then on monthly basis, XYZ interest amount will be added up. This is one. And again, when we are clearing from lease liability and parking it to clearing account, this will be your entry. P&L, so P&L is nothing but your accumulated depreciation and depreciation entries. Okay. Asset clearing will get knocked off. Asset clearing you understood over here, this one. So this gets knocked off. Vendor account. Vendor account over here, when we receive vendor invoices from vendor, we'll clear this clearing account, lease liability clearing account, debiting this clearing account will credit vendor account. So when vendor is also debit. Interest expenses debit over here. Interest expense account is debit. Now lease clearing account debit 10,000, credit 10,000. The credit is happening with your liability, right, over here. So lease clearing is nothing but this entry and this entry.
So in slide they have not used the accumulated depreciation, right?
Yeah, in slide they have not given it, but it should be your accumulated depreciation. Reason being, now let's say if I have posted directly to asset or rather than using accumulated depreciation account, then after, like, instead of 6 months, after 3 months, the vendor says that we will only be doing it, the contract will be only there for 4 years, not for 5 years. Then how exactly you are going to reduce the amount from asset? We do not do these kind of activities on asset, right? So it is better that we post it on accumulated depreciation account. So whatever impairment is there, it will happen on accumulated depreciation account, and simultaneously whatever reversal has to be done, it will the only 1 year reversal will be done on asset account. Okay. over here it has not mentioned accumulated depreciation account, but it is a agreed term that we will be using as an accumulated depreciation account, because that is how your asset class determination also happens, right? So where do you determine your accumulated depreciation account? At asset level or at asset class level? Asset class level, right? So
It's
whatever asset class has been used while creating the asset, it will automatically determine your accumulated depreciation, and it will automatically define your asset reconciliation account as well, correct? So that is why it is not mentioned over here. So in that way, if you talk about, then over here your asset recon account should also be there, your vendor recon account should also be, reconciliation account should also be there, right? But it is not appearing because that those are the background entries. Separating components of a contract. For a contract that is or contain a lease, an entity shall account for each lease component within the contract as a lease separately from non-lease component of the contract, unless the entity applies the practical expedient in paragraph 15. Paragraph B32, B33 set out guidance on separating components of a contract. So this is nothing but IFRS 16 paragraphs and standards references. Separating component of a contract, paragraph 12 to 17. The right to use an underlying asset is a separate lease component if both the lease can benefit, the lessee can benefit from the use of the underlying asset either on its own or together with their other resources are readily available to the lessee. Readily available resources are goods or services that are sold or leased separately by the lessor or other supplier, or resources that the lessee has already obtained from the lessor. The underlying asset is neither highly dependent on nor highly interrelated with the other underlying asset in the contract. For example, the fact that a lessee could decide not to lease the underlying asset without significantly affecting its right to use other underlying asset in contract might indicate that underlying is not highly dependent on or highly interrelated with those or other underlying asset. So can you tell me what exactly it is mentioning over here? Did someone get a gist of this? What exactly? When it says goods or services, so ideally it means that there are few contracts wherein like services are there which are not dependent. Now let's say TCS is there. TCS is implementing SAP, but ideally SAP product is not owned by TCS, right? It is a SAP product. The software SAP which TCS is implementing, it is owned by SAP, right? Not by TCS. But although TCS is implementing SAP for their client, and also they are providing services. Services is nothing but support, right? So now TCS will also be having contracts with their client that, okay, now let's say I have implemented this particular project. Now after implementation, I need to provide you support as well. So these kind of contracts will also be there for TCS. So that is how it comes over here. So if you see this scenario, monthly payment, same, it is same, just the service fee has been added up. Now the service fee which is there, it is not considered under your ROU, neither your lease liability, because it will be your expense account. So if you see over here, service expense account debit and your lease clearing account credit. Okay, and both 2000 plus 10,000, lease clearing account debit 12,000 and vendor account credit 12,000. Okay, you got my point. So this amount is not considered under your asset consideration, so this should not be capitalized. Okay, simultaneously initial direct cost. Incremental cost of obtaining a lease that would not have been incurred if the lease had not been obtained, except for such costs incurred by manufacturer or dealer lesser in connection with the financial lease. Initial measurement. Measurement of the right of use asset. At the commencement date, a lessee shall measure the right of use asset at cost. The cost of the right of use asset shall comprise the amount initial measurement of the lease liability as described in paragraph 26. Any lease payment made at or before the commencement date, less any lease incentive received. Any initial direct cost incurred by the lessee. So tell me something. Now over here, an initial cost was incurred, okay, of 25,000. So shall it be included in your capitalization and liability? It should be. So as per the IFRS 16 standard, it should be considered under your lease liability and ROU. So over here, if you see the amount, ROU asset amount has been considered with the same amount and lease liability as well. And the same clearing paid is getting credited over with 25,000, and your lease liability amount is also getting debited. Because why exactly we are debiting lease liability is we are removing this amount from lease liability and clearing, we are parking it to clearing account for 25,000, and again it will go back through vendor. Okay, so not necessary it is same vendor, it can be same vendor, but we are just mentioning it as clearing it paid because it was an initial cost which we have already paid. Okay,
So can you see this balance sheet valuation of contract? So first of all, I'll take you through the service charge settlement scenario, sales based settlement scenario. Okay. Yesterday we have covered this, right? So type of sales rule. So if we have to configure type of sales rule, what we do is we go to sales based settlement. Then we in sales rule, we over here we define the sales rule, type of sales rule. Okay. So this is what we assign in our contract, type of sales rule. Then comes your reporting rule. For reporting rule, you'll be having your sales type. Okay. Unit. Then your sales ID is there. Normal sales, stat sales. Okay. So over here you can configure all. Now coming to settlements processes. So these all settlement processes are available. So these all settlement schema are available within SAP S/4HANA as part of standard. Apart from that, if you want to configure anything, you can configure that as well. So key parameters or settlement parameters: active, standard, open, change direct, not no allowed, any change allowed, only increase allowed, only decrease allowed. So you can define this. So change direction is nothing but when we are increasing any of the settlement, let's say if you want to define any of the settlement parameters, then it should be defined whether the set based on the sales rule only increase should be allowed or decrease should be allowed in minimum sales based rule, whether it is allowed or not. So these all things for parameters, settlement parameters, you can define it over here. Okay. Then under this is your enhancement will be coming. So this is sales-based scenario. Now in service charge settlement. In service charge settlement, we do a lot of things. That is, we configure service charge key, then settlement unit. So the very first thing, if you remember, you spoke about settlement unit. So these all things are used for like settlement unit will be having your participation group, cost collector will be there, and based on service charge key will also be there. So based on that, it will calculate the amount. So we need to define the service charge key which will be assigned. So let's say this 1,000 service charge key is there. So what exactly the parameters are? Measurement types allowed for this particular service charge key. Okay. Then comes your description. Considered for all settlement, only for settlement to tenants, considered only for chart of account settlement for owners. So you can define based on this. Available for operating cost or not. If you have any service charge group, then you can define it over here. So it is not allowing as a plan. Apportionment on only for commercials, use heating values, direct cost posting, SU assignable to account. SU is nothing, settlement unit. RO direct assignable to account. Cost center rental object are directly assignable to account. So ideally we do it through settlement unit. So assignable to accounts will be SU, settlement unit. So service charge key with combination of what? So will it be rental object? Will it be cost center or rental object? Or will it be service settlement unit? So the most preferred way or the standard practice is we should always use settlement unit. Okay. Account symbol, cost account. So account symbol, if you remember, we assign our account symbol to flow type, and that account symbol has GL account. So if you want to assign that as well, we can do that over here. Okay. So that is all with these all things we define over here in service charge key. Okay. Now default value for distribution rule and settlement rules, settlement unit. If you want to default any things for any kind of settlement unit, so service charge key, then comes your purpose, measurement time, apportionment time, heating value. So these all things. So over here, if you see purpose of apportionment, landlord tenant apportionment, owner upon apportionment, remaining landlord tenant apportionment, remaining owner. So it would be majorly like landlord tenant apportionment. When like let's say I have a property or the mall owner is like collecting any cost from the tenants. So that is how it will be. Settlement variants. If you want to create any of the variant, you can create those variant as well. So what does this variant has? 12 months, 31 days, one will be or like 12 months will be considered or 31 days will be there. It will be considered as a variant. So if you see first of every month until 21st of 31st of last month. So that is how it is getting defined. Okay. Month up to which the settlement period is valid, that is 12th, and day up to which settlement period is valid until 31st. Okay. And simultaneously, if you see another one, let's say this one. So we can see there are two settlement period available. First one is from until June 30th, and second one is from 1st of July until 31st of December. Okay. These settlement variants are there. Setting dependent on tenancy law, apportion, vacancy, and registration location key. So tenancy law, if you remember, we have created tenancy law. We have also created one of the new tenancy law that was United States. Although we have not maintained it over here, we can maintain it over here as well. This is for service charge settlement dependent on tenancy law. So if we are using the same tenancy law, then based on that, region location key will be defined. Okay. Heating days. What are the heating days and percentage? Can someone tell me what is heating days? So ideally, heating days is like what variation it is allowed per month. How much of heating variation or how much of tolerance it is allowed. That is called heating value days. Okay. If let's say in service charge settlement, it is there that you need to like upload XYZ on minimum sales based rent, then what should be there if it is not minimum sales based? Okay. So this particular hitting days are maintained, like percentage are there. So based on that, your full settlement can be done. Now again, this particular hitting values or hitting value key, this will be assigned to your service charge key. Okay. So you can carry out settlement using the like regional location of this particular settlement, and cost through that will be settled on your settlement unit. So your regional location will have it will have hitting days and hitting value percentage. This procedure it is majorly not in other countries but only used in Switzerland. So that is why it has been maintained for Switzerland. Okay. So if you have any other country apart from that, then you can accordingly configure it. Define default values for current occupancy principle. Define setting values for current occupancy. Define default values for current occupancy principle is like if any of the rental object has been occupied, then what should be the default service charge key? Over here, if you see, service charge key is there, purpose, and when what was the occupied or purpose when it was there. If I click new, tenant settlement, owner settlement, then comes your settlement using current occupancy if indicator set an on arrow. Never use current occupancy principle. Always settle using current occupancy principle. Okay. So that is your master data. Now coming to settlement unit or participation group. This will be, sorry, usage type which are defined for service charge settlement. Over here we will be defining the usage type. If you remember, in rental object we had usage type created, garage and all these things. So based on that, we can assign those usage type to settlement unit. Okay. Define measurement type. Again, it will be same. It will appear the same that we have configured in master data under usage view. Then the major reading condition types for advance payment and flat rate. Condition grouping. Over here we define condition purpose like condition rules, advance payment, flat rate, what exactly it is. And adjustment rules are also there. Adjustment rule, anyone available aware how exactly adjustment rules are used? Hello? Hello?
Yes, friend.
Is anyone aware what exactly adjustment is being used for? So ideally, adjustment is used for, like, let's say if any of the integration is there, through which if any modification needs to be done to your contract, let's say CPI integration, consumer price index is there. If you want an integration with that, and based on your CPI fluctuation, you want to like increase or decrease your contract value, you can do that as well. Okay, so that is what adjustment is used for. Apart from that, you have assignment of service charge key to your condition. So this is the important part, because unless and until you do not assign your service charge key to your condition type, those particular service charge settlement will not appear. Okay. So always make sure whenever you have configured any of the service charge key, you configure it to your or assign it to your condition type. Okay. Assign condition type to service charge key or grouping. Again, just like condition grouping, we have service charge key grouping. So over here, if you see service condition type is there, service charge is there. And if you have created any of the grouping of service charge, then you can use assign it over here. Okay. And service charge categories. Again, heating, operating cost, general service charge. This all things will appear based on the service charge you have created. Define value for settlement participation per service charge key. Company code, usage type, service charge key, settlement parameter. So company code, right now we are using 1010. Whatever usage type we are using and service charge, and based on that, whatever settlement parameter, if you remember, we had created settlement parameter. If you want to assign settlement parameter, then you can assign it over here as well. So these are the settlement parameters. Okay. Active for chart of account, standard chart of account, then active for budget, active tenant, standard budget, active for service charge settlement. See, this should also be activated. I don't know why this is not being activated. Just a second. Australia. So over here, if you see, this has been activated for service charge settlement. Now settlement parameters, split receivables if tax charges, post balances, leave open AP, planned principal, input tax rate is charged to tenant, considered current occupancy principal, print separate. So these are all the parameters which are available. Okay. Use other apportionment factor, read cash flow directly from database, no AP determination. Distributor remainder not distributed. First object receives a remainder, last object receive remainder, random distribution. Again, these are something from controlling point of view which you need to understand, and based on that, you'll have to define the settlement parameter. Okay. Default values for data medium exchange for external settlement. So this is a DME configuration. If we have anything in external DME in place, then we'll be using this. Parameters for ML records, again same. Okay. If any of the settlement parameters active for accrual deferral, standard for accrual deferral, AP needed for accrual deferral. So these are all things we can mention at your settlement parameter schema. Okay. Accounts for service charge define RE specific account properties. So accounting principle, if you are aware, accounting properties, rental object, is it allowed, contract allowed, settlement unit allowed, and what a service charge key is assigned to this. Okay. Based on that, it will pick up this particular service charge key. If you have used these accounting properties, then it will pick up this particular service charge key. So for which all objects it is allowed, we can also maintain it over here. Assign RE specific properties to GL account. So your account properties are assigned to which cost element. You can define it over here based on your chart of account. Again, this is the same linkage of your accounting properties to your service charge key. Any clearing account is used, then we can mention it over here as well. Clearing account and cost GL account. So your cost account is there. So cost account is 6190 as 9400. So settlement unit credit account is this one. Account of breakdown posting for master data settlement. So it is nothing but just a account determination we do for asset class. In similar manner, we do it over here. Okay. For distribution net service charge, for breakdown posting master unit service settlement unit, and input tax. For tax, what we are going to use. So cost accounting settlements we are doing over here. Okay. Account determination. So default condition type, we have already seen that. Assign reference flow type to say, yeah, this is also one of the important. So this reference flow type is also coming up from flow condition and flow types. If you have seen this over here, flow types, under flow type we have assigned reference flow type. So this is coming from assign, sorry, not this one. Assign reference flow type. So this screen and the other screen is both the same. Okay. So if you get into this node under service charge settlement, you'll get to see what all things need to be configured.